AJ's WrestleMania opponent finally revealed, and Sister Abigail lives? Let's discuss it. As always, want to start by thanking everybody for coming back to the Riggs Beast channel. And as always, let's go beast on that subscribe button. Let's go beast on that like button. And let's go beast on this SmackDown Live review, which came to you live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Well, the good folks of Pittsburgh got lucky this week because they didn't get part of Stella's fuckery, which left a lot of the Northeast with 2+ feet of snow. Good for us, right? This caused a little bit of a shake-up in the announcing booth. Mauro Ranallo got stuck in it, so he wasn't able to get there. And David Otunga is apparently off filming a movie because some dumbass producer thinks he's good at acting. So we are left with Tom Phillips and JBL. And right off the bat, they didn't do that bad. Tom Phillips is a good announcer. He's a very good lead announcer, to be quite honest. But you still can't just get past the fact that you might want to face fuck you. But anyway, let's go with the show here. Let's start. They immediately start off with AJ going off on Shane after SmackDown, that video clip that came out on Facebook, that came out on Twitter. They then go live where Daniel Bryan's talking on his phone. I'm assuming to Brie was supposed to be. AJ interrupts them asking where Shane is. Shane is not in the building yet. AJ says, I'm going to the ring to discuss my career. And then they just cold open SmackDown. AJ then immediately comes out to the ring. He says he's sick and tired of being messed with by Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. Says he's being treated like a circus monkey. Then he goes into how Cena is not treated like a circus monkey and how as soon as he comes back, whenever he asks for something, he gets it, asks for that title match, admits that, yes, I lost to Cena, I can accept it. He goes over how he never got his one-on-one rematch. We've been discussing this one for weeks, how this was going to come into play. Talked about Elimination Chamber, triple threat match, etc. Never got his true one-on-one rematch. Then, and this kind of got a chuckle out of me, goes into how Randy Orton burns down a house, doesn't get arrested, but gets the main event of WrestleMania. Also goes in as well as how he earned the spot, how he won that Battle Royal, quote unquote, but there was controversy, and how he beats Luke Harper to earn the spot at WrestleMania. This is a lot of the reason why I think the AJ babyface push is coming after Mania or shortly thereof, simply because his biggest heel rivalry is based off of truth. It's all truths. So you can continue to like him beyond just the wrestling skill as a hardcore wrestling fan or as just a wrestling fan in general and not a television watcher, as I like to call the commons. He's going to finish up this in-ring interview, however, pointing out that he doesn't have a match at Mania and says that he's going to have a conversation with Shane later about his career if he even has one. This was interesting for that conversation he has later. After they go back from break, the first match of the night is Becky Lynch versus Natalya. Pittsburgh is completely dead for this. They were pretty much dead the entire night, to be honest. I would give them no reason to get into something like this anyway. But Becky and Natalya were actually having a nice little match. It goes to one commercial break. They come out of break. They work their way outside. Natty gets a Michinoku driver on the outside. It looked good. Again, this was a nice little match. The crowd gave you nothing to add to it. It ends with Natty putting Becky on the ropes. I assume to go for a superplex. Becky counters into the disarmer. She wins via submission. Carmella then comes out, super kicks both women. And then in a quick little backstage segment, it's to confirm she's part of the pre-show title match, we'll call it, at WrestleMania, where we don't even know what kind of match it is yet, but every available woman will be available for it. Unfortunately, they're kind of killing the women because of this. And they spent the first hour with the only two matches being women's matches to try to get you into this. So to be honest, not really a good start for the women, and quite frankly, it's not going to be good for them until after Mania at this point. The next segment is going to be Miz TV, and they hype up the guests, they hype up who it's going to be, and then it's themselves. And Miz calls them the most must-see couple. Miz doing Miz shit, basically, is all that is. They start with recapping what happened last week when they attacked Cena and Nikki. Then Maurice actually grabs the mic and goes into how Nikki's jealous because she has this and puts up her ring finger. And they're really starting to drive home that married point. Yeah, Cena's proposing at Mania. You're going to give you that nice moment. Just think about what's down the road from WrestleMania, guys. The big mouse watches all. They need your Disney moment. Maurice starts talking about how her and Nikki were once best friends. She talks about how she had a contract to be on Total Divas. Nikki said don't sign it, negotiate to get more money. Nikki says she makes the point that I'm dating John Cena, I'm untouchable, to help out Maurice, but then she never hears from her again. Says she will expose Nikki as the lying, backstabbing bitch that she is. At this point, cue John Cena and Nikki Bella. They come running into the ring. Miss and Maurice flee out like chicken shit heels. Nikki claims that if she can block her, why is she still here? Calls Maurice crazy, then challenges Maurice to a match. Miz grabs the mic and says, Nikki, you can't do that. Who do you think you are, John Cena? As they go to leave, Daniel Bryan comes out. Daniel Bryan gets on the Miz, talking about how after I saw that Talking Smack segment with you, I finally got tired of you cutting me off, and I want to punch you in the face for it. I've gotten tired of you stealing my moves poorly, and I want to punch you in the face for it. I got tired of you coming after me and knowing that I can't do anything about it, and that makes me really want to punch you in the face. But says, I can't do it, but I know someone who can, and he books the mixed tag match everybody knew was coming. John Cena and Nikki will win. John will propose to Nikki. They haven't been mentioning the marriage stuff without closing it out. And also, for everybody who had the pipe dream about Miz and Daniel Bryan wrestling, this is your closure to that. Am I a little disappointed? Of course I am, but I never let myself believe that was going to happen, and you shouldn't have either if you did. So consider this your closure to the Miz and Daniel Bryan. So after this, we're going to get Mickie and Alexa. Again, I mentioned earlier, the first hour of the show had 2 matches. Both women's matches, trying to get you a little bit interested in that pre-show title match. It's not going to work. At least for the majority. This is not going to work. You've completely derailed the SmackDown women for the sake of the Raw Women's Championship, but they're not booking them well. And at this point, you've train wrecked the SmackDown women to let the Raw women gain precedence until Mania. So, to be honest, do not expect any quality women's material on SmackDown until after WrestleMania. That's just what we have to deal with here. And to show you how much WWE really isn't trying too hard to get you invested in these women, shortly after this match started, they go right to commercial break. They're throwing it away immediately. To this point, SmackDown is slightly better than Raw. And it's a theme throughout the night. SmackDown tonight had a couple of important segments. Other than that, was a throwaway. The match, to be honest, was okay. But again, you don't have no crowd reaction. There's nothing special going on. It's a relatively short match. Mickie wins after moving out of a standing moonsault and hits Alexa Bliss with the Mick kick. They show AJ Styles a couple times throughout the show, waiting for Shane in a parking lot. At this point, they go back to it again. This time, Shane arrives. AJ just immediately jumps Shane. AJ's throwing Shane into cars. He's throwing him into stuff backstage, punching the shit out of him. He eventually throws him to a car glass window. They show Shane bleeding from the top of his head. AJ comes back in for that one kick, and they go immediately to break after this. They come back from break with Meds attending to Shane. You got Finley there. Good old Fit Finley. He's refusing to go to the ER, but he's going to go to the training room. Then they immediately go to break after this again, and they come back, and now AJ's in the locker room. So this took 3 segments of the show. Back from the commercial break, the Usos and somebody else, I'm not even sure who else was back there, saying, you can't do that. You're going to get fired. AJ says, I don't care. As he's walking out, Daniel Bryan's there with security guards. AJ says, what are you going to do? Fire me? After Daniel Bryan goes to him and says, what you did was an act of cowardice. And Daniel Bryan says, you're damn right I'm going to fire you. And has security lead him out. At this point of the night, you're supposed to believe AJ Styles has been fired. So then we go to a throwaway match between Mojo Rawley and Dolph Ziggler. My only thing about this is what happened to Dolph Ziggler in the Jerry Lawler situation. They had such a good segment. Remember? Ziggler kicks him in the chest. The man almost died on a Raw. Like, what the fuck? Great stuff. Never heard from him again. And now Dolph is right back to where he was, but as a heel instead of a babyface. They had something there, but because of other directions, shows to do nothing, and Dolph just sinks right back in. At this point, I really wouldn't be stunned if Dolph Ziggler became a budget cut after WrestleMania. They continue to do nothing. His stock is completely dead at this point in WWE. You want to let that man go, and if he wants to continue wrestling, let him go to New Japan. I don't want anybody to go to Impact. Fuck Impact Wrestling. Seriously. Let him go to New Japan. Let him go to Ring of Honor. Maybe he can build his name back up. Or if he just wants to stick with the comedy act, and maybe he wants to be done with wrestling, let that happen too. But to be honest, this man needs out of WWE at this point. It would be beneficial for his career to be out of WWE. As for this match, it was just to invest you in that Andre the Memorial Battle Royal, which is going to be a throwaway anyway. Mojo Rawley throws him over the top rope 3 times in the match. Dolph says, screw it, leaves. Mojo wins by a countout. Your next segment, though, is with Randy Orton. The best feud going in the WWE, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. Randy starts by saying you can learn a lot from a Viper. Talks about how he was lying and waiting for months. Says he wanted to hurt Bray, but he wanted to hurt him where it hurt the most. So an RKO just wouldn't be good enough. So he says he got by Bray Wyatt's side. He gained his trust, joined the family. And as he stood next to him, the venom ran deeper and deeper. And when the time was right, screw him. He's basically recapping how and why he did what he did. Good stuff here. You can tell Randy's into it. And when Randy's into something, it's going to turn out gold. He mentioned the one thing Bray loves the most is Sister Abigail. And then as he burned the compound down to the ground, he heard her screams and felt his power slipping away and the face of fear just becoming fear, a broken man. But says the job isn't done and he will take everything from Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Bray then comes on the screen, just staring at it, not saying nothing for a good 10 seconds. Says he was broken and that Randy was right, but till he found his way back home. Says Sister Abigail was born of Satan himself, and her heart still beats and has bestowed her power upon him. And that is now his duty to dispose of all the infidels, and says that he will start with Randy as he is born again in her ashes. He then grabs the dirt from the fire and rubs it on his arms, his body, his face, and ends it with follow the buzzards and a loud scream. I may be a sucker for a good storyline. Going all the way back to my first and second video, especially talking about why we care about wrestlers, character development to me is key. So yes, I'm a sucker for a good storyline and a good character. And this feud at this point is taking layer and layer and adding depth upon it. And it's going to go beyond WrestleMania. I just want to say that right now. This will go way beyond WrestleMania. And I hope I'm not the only one in saying how good this is and how much this deserves to be the WWE Championship match. I know AJ Styles had the best year. And if AJ was the champion, I'd have no problem with it. But I would still believe this rivalry deserved to be the championship match and I think deserves to headline WrestleMania. It won't, but it should. So after this, they go through a quick recap of Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin. I'm not going to lie, without seeing them for the majority of the show, I thought maybe they got caught in the snowstorm. But Baron Corbin is there. He's interviewed next to a forklift by generic interviewer number 3. He's asked about crossing a line. He says to him, there is no lines, only actions and reactions. Says people say Ambrose can get up from anything. Well, he is the guy who puts people down. And if he makes it to Mania, he will take everything from him and put him down for good. This was a nice little interview for Baron Corbin. Key with Baron Corbin right now until he gets better is to keep his interview short, sweet, to the point, and malice. If you do that, you can build upon him. I will reiterate this every chance I get. Baron Corbin is money and will be a champion before the end of the year. Guaranteed. If Baron Corbin can get to above average in an interview, the man will be a monster in this company because he sells off being a heel so well. He has the potential to be the best heel in the company. He's a level of heel of Samoa Joe, but different. And the reason I say different is because he can come at you with the I'm only here to get paid and beat people up. I don't care about you. I'm better than you. And since he came over from football and didn't have an indie background, you can believe it. It becomes believable that this guy is using the wrestling business for what the fans love. That's why he can be the best heel in the company. And that's the golden opportunity they have with Corbin. But after that, they're going to finish the night. The main event wrestling match is American Alpha versus the Usos. Now, don't get me wrong. Alpha and the Usos can put on a good match, but the tag team division at SmackDown has been nuked. It's bad on Raw, but it's been nuked on SmackDown. There is nobody besides these two teams. And I wouldn't be shocked if these two teams had a pre-show title match at WrestleMania. Really wouldn't. A lot of the pre-show is going to be SmackDown related. Raw's going to get precedence on WrestleMania. You can see it coming now. So don't be shocked if the tag titles and the women's championship is defended on the pre-show for SmackDown. They cue to Shane walking in the hallway right basically in the first 2 minutes of the match. Finley's talking about going to the hospital with him, and then they go back to the match. So WWE's already showing the viewer, you don't really need to care about this match. What's going on with Shane? And the crowd didn't help either. All the crowd did was either make no noise or chant, "We want Angle." This match was actually good and given a little bit of time, but you're told by WWE not to care about it because of the Shane McMahon situation. The crowd doesn't help because they don't care about it. So they go to the first commercial break, and like I talked about, you had the Kurt Angle chant. When they come back from break, now the Usos are going to be in control, but there's still a Kurt Angle chant. And other than that, the crowd noise is silent, so now you know the crowd doesn't care and you don't care. Very quickly, they cut back to Shane, who's now walking in a hallway. He refuses to leave to go to the hospital, and he's walking back towards the arena. So now we go back to the tag match that isn't bad, but zero fucks given. To end it, Gable's pushed off the ropes as they were setting up for an electric chair bulldog. Then I think it was Jimmy Uso delivered a super kick to Jordan. 1, 2, 3, the Usos win. Shane is shown in the back, walking into the immediate backstage area, the gorilla position, tells Arn Anderson to cue a mic, grabs it, walks out, says that AJ Styles doesn't have an opponent for WrestleMania. Well, he does now, and boom, SmackDown's off the air. No, nothing. As soon as the word now comes out of Shane's mouth, SmackDown is off the air. Some people will think this might have been a mistake. Some people will think that they ran a little too long. They didn't run a little too long. Let me explain to you real quick before I end this review why they did this. Talking smack is a very important part of SmackDown. It has become a point to push rivalries. They use it on television. They use it to walk that fine line between, kayfabe and reality. And it's become an important part, like I said, of SmackDown Live. So because of immediately turning off the show, you're instantly in a state of confusion and excitement. So you're going to go to A, the Facebook page, because 205 Live is next, and B, you're going to anticipate Talking Smack, so you're going to want to go click on it and watch it. So what WWE is doing here is trying to entice the viewer to, number one, stick on the network for 205 Live. Number two, come to the network for Talking Smack, and if you don't have the network, of course, you got your 30-day free trial that includes WrestleMania. So this little thing, this little tidbit was to push traffic to the Facebook page and to push traffic to the network. So it was smartly done in that regard. I just wanted to throw that out there just in case some of you hear that this was a mistake and WWE can't time things right. No. There's an inner business working as to why you do certain things. You may not agree with the angle, you may not agree with the rivalry, but that's the business reason why they did it. But that's going to do it for the SmackDown Live review tonight. SmackDown wasn't a below average show. It was not that good. Raw was horrible. SmackDown was slightly above horrible. The Randy Orton segment with Bray, the Miz and Cena wasn't bad. The Shane stuff at least had you interested. AJ Styles is still the number one guy for the wrestling fan in the company, so anything he does is important. So SmackDown's going to get a 3.5. I can't give it any more than a 3.5 because none of the wrestling matches mattered. The show was basically a throwaway other than a few promos and AJ Styles. And that's SmackDown in a nutshell. So as always, let's go beast on that subscribe button. Let's go beast on that like button. And as always, guys, keep it beast.